As I've learned, resiliency is a big part of who we are. Really figuring out what do you do with what you have, even if it's a little, knowing that it's still something and that it can bring forth something good. I often hear we're a people of grit, and I think that that's true. I like to add grit and grace because I think we need both.
Until about 1902, we were extremely agrarian. We were known as being part of the sheep belt, and we supplied about 26% of the wool that the U.S. used. In 1909, Ernest T. Weir purchased Crawford's Crossing, and it just radically changed our area. We became rapidly industrialized, and economically speaking, our boom time was the 1940s and 50s. In the same way that you had this great migration inward, you have a tremendous migration outward starting in the 70s and 80s because of the layoffs, because they can see, where is this going? There's a Parade magazine, which is one of the parts of the newspaper from 1982 that talks about the death of a way of life. And the death of the steel mill would have a commensurate effect on families.
I can tell you, this is the best place I've ever lived. This place is different because of the people.
Where I grew up was a coal mining town. My experience there was seeing a lot of my friends and family members being employed by the coal industry. And as that industry began to change, that a lot of my friends and family were losing their jobs. Throughout that time, it impacted not only their immediate families, but our town as a whole.
I have learned a lot about Appalachia and the culture. There used to being poor, big companies coming into the state and taking the natural resources out of this area. We were promised so much when the gas and oil industry came through here, and they came, they took, and they left.
When I made it to Steubenville to work and to serve here, I observed the same thing happening on the steel side of things, seeing a lot of families hurting because of loss of jobs, because of the loss of industry, and as a result, just needing to figure out how to make ends meet.
For us, food insecurity is where people are scared that they're not going to have enough to eat.
We get into things where people are working, not working. Is it by choice or not by choice? It's not, there's like food insecurity, it doesn't matter. No one should have to want for food. I don't have the opportunity to make a huge impact on the adult level, but from a child's standpoint, food is not something that there should ever be a shortage of. No child should ever have to be hungry. There are, parents that go to work every day. Both parents go to work, and there's not enough money at the end of the day in order to make ends meet.
When food is not addressed, when food insecurity goes unaddressed, then there are other things that start to spiral out of control. Just taking care of your finances, taking care of finding a job, taking care of family members. When you're hungry, it's really hard to be able to think about anything else.
If you're not taking care of your basic human needs, how are you going to succeed in anything? How do we expect people to be at their best if they're hungry?
The food pantry has been in existence since 1999. It started as just a small outreach program on a $20 budget. We had, I think, 5 to 7 families. We currently do a 10-mile radius of Smithfield. Small towns, people down toward Rayland, Dillonville, that can't get to Steubenville or other places, where they can get some much-needed staples. What happened and what the need was in this area was there were a lot of widows, a lot of people whose husbands had worked in the coal mines, who'd worked in the steel mills when their spouses passed away. A lot of the people were living on $600, $700, $800 a month. There was really a need in this area to provide some additional staples for people.
I'm here representing the American Legion and McIntyre Baptist Church, giving back to the community. We're growing as far as the need of people. There's way more people than there was before. So.
More people hungry?
Yes. Many times we pull in this parking lot and there's 3 rows of cars. And we come back with a very little, and we can only distribute maybe 1 box per family. Where they're trying to help their neighbor, they're trying to pick up for their grandmother, and we can't do it. So we need, to increase a little bit. So the little bit that they can get here subsidized, they can put their money somewhere else. That's what it seems like.
Start seeing the families and the children. And that's what I'm here for, the children. And there's so many people, they might have a fairly decent job, they might be on retirement money, but it's not enough to carry them. Tomorrow when we give out their regular give out day, they got 150 boxes made up. They'll probably use every bit of them.
So we make the boxes here, those boxes over there you see, we're going to make 140 of them today, expect a lot of people tomorrow for Easter. And they get a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, and a dozen eggs, and they get a box of frozen and refrigerated foods also. And so these ladies are here, they're making the boxes for us.
And more of these people need it. Like I say, most of them are on fixed income and hardly any income. And they could maybe hardly make it before. They're not making it now.
Ed came here to help because he heard from a couple of his friends about the food pantry, how we were needing more manpower. A couple months after he was here for a while, he told me the story that he said, the reason I keep coming back, when we were having our distribution, one of the ladies who came in had a little boy and a young school-age boy in the car, and as they were putting the food and things in the car, the boy says, "Mommy, are we going to be able to eat?"
When COVID did first hit, we were scared. On March 13th, 2020, we did not know what was going to happen the following Friday because we knew there was going to be a panic, and there was. People were clearing off shelves, people can't find food. We were petrified that there was going to be like lines and lines of people around the block looking for food.
Well, since the beginning of the pandemic, the issues we saw for our community pantry, or what we encountered, were issues of people who had never ever had to access a pantry before in their lives. People were crying when they came to see us and said, "I've never done this. What kind of information do you need?" And our pantry is set up so that we're not going to ask for income verification or do you actually live in this area. We have taken folks who work in this area. That's important. If you work here in this area and you're struggling, that's okay. We want to be able to help you in this time of need.
Yeah, we doubled in, I think last year, from January the 1st to December 31st, we gave out over 2,900 and some food orders.
Our biggest group that we are concerned about with food insecurity is our seniors. For example, our senior population could only be receiving like $10 a month in food stamps. Well, what is a senior going to buy with $10 a month in food? That's concerning to me. They can't even get through an entire month. I had a lady tell me if it wasn't for us, she would have to choose between her medication and food. And nobody should have to do that.
They're guaranteed the time that the breadbasket comes in. And that's like when the money runs out and things. Yes. Even with the extra food stamp, there's still hunger.
Yeah. I live in a complex, and what we don't use, we share. So what somebody doesn't use, they give to me. What I can't use, I give to somebody else. I'll give it to share it with them. But the need, I think, it's more than we think it is, because people do not have enough money.
I work as an STNA, I work with hospice, and people need food, and I pick up for 3 different people.
How much, in regards to the pandemic, is isolation an issue?
It's a huge issue. Even the grandparents that we dealt with, it was so hard for them. not being able to talk to individuals, not knowing how to deal with things, not knowing who to reach out to, feeling like they couldn't reach out to anybody.
The lack of socialization, it isolated people even more, because now you were having a homemaker coming in so many hours per day. You've maybe eliminated them, or you've cut those hours back. They're not seeing people as much. They're not getting that interaction. They're not getting that stimulation, because, you know, my homemakers go in and they're personable and they're talking to them and they're reading the newspaper or they're listening to something on television. It's the interaction. Now you're all by yourself.
I think they're lonely. They're tired of being alone. They usually have a therapist and this person and this person and this person come out to their homes, and it's very limited now. There's too much need for people like me.
I think because of the pandemic, depression, taking care of yourself, all those things compound one another. We had a focus group with specifically the parents as teachers, staff, on how isolation impacted a lot of the moms. And especially with a child under the age of 5, you need that socialization, you need that communication with others. You don't have that interaction, you don't know if your child's progressing the same way. It just created issues upon issues upon issues for them. They saw that as a huge component of the problems that they're dealing with.
We are barely surviving, just trying to make sure people get what they need. We are fortunate to have a lot of church support here in Weirton. So we are getting donations and things from churches, and they are struggling because of COVID. People are not going back to church. As many as were going to church prior to COVID, they're not coming back, which hurts the church and their funding, and then hurts our support of donations here.
Pancake mix, syrup. I need a dry dog food. Spaghetti noodles, spaghetti sauce.
We rely on volunteers. We only have 3 part-time people working here, and everybody else is volunteers.
I did. I got yogurt. I got cottage cheese. Pork roast. We can't. There's no way.
4? No. Give me 6 corn.
And we have a new one. Now we have a new one. We're number 12, and this says USDA, so they're going to get a block of cheese in that fridge.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get everything they marked off on this list, which isn't much. It's 2 adults.
I'm going to wait it.
When COVID hit, my volunteers scattered, and they were afraid to come in because they were afraid they were going to catch it because they're in that age group, the high-risk age group. Unfortunately, a lot of them haven't come back, and those were our key people. Those are our key volunteers.
So really, we were just left with staff. And it got so bad that the governor of Ohio had deployed 100 National Guard members to Mid-Ohio Food Bank. And when they started to hear how many families we were serving, they deployed 8 to 10 National Guard members to come alongside and serve with us.
Let's get more volunteers. Most of our group is 70 plus. So if we had some more young people to come out and give their time, that would be our biggest asset.
I think we're probably still a year and a half out before we truly have any real idea of the effects of COVID, although it seems to be a slowing process now. Recognizing the before and after, and the after was something that was trying to get back to the before. And I've seen that in Wellsburg. I was down there and we were doing a food giveaway, and 2 ladies saw each other. They hadn't been able to see each other. One had been in the hospital. And they got out crying, and they're just embraced. And you would have thought that they hadn't seen each other in, like I said, 30 years.
I need people to care about humans. I need people to be kind to each other and, recognize that we have to help each other. We have to take a look at what the needs are in our communities and make an impact where we can. Yes, do I need help? Do I need financial support? The programs in your communities that are trying to make an impact, they need your help.
Buchanan, West Virginia, if you haven't visited, booming. There's a couple there's places where the coal fields have been turned into gardens and goat tending pastures and all kinds of positive things. Music cities, little small towns rebuilding themselves. But they have conversations with their community members. We don't have open conversations. I don't know how to engage the cities. I don't know how to get them involved, as I've seen other cities in West Virginia. For the network part, Brooke Hancock Family Resource is creating advocates. I can't be the advocate for you. I want you to be the advocate for yourself. I want the families to advocate for what they need. We need to hear it loud and clear.
And it is so unfortunate because this group of people, these Appalachian people, still bounce back. They still haven't left. They still love their state. They are still here, still fighting for it. Our government in West Virginia just hasn't been great about it. I mean, we need business that's not going to leave West Virginia. We need business to build this beautiful state back up.
I just want people to know that we're here in their time of need. And my mom was unemployed at Salvation Army for 26 years. And even as a young man, I saw how important community is. People here have a genuine heart of wanting to help. And this community don't give themselves enough credit. Inform people, let them know the truth. And if you're honest with people and they see you working, they will come beside you and help you. And I'm magnifying that double here.
Sometimes these places feel forgotten, and I don't know, I think the folks that live here, there's a lot that has yet to be uncovered. We're realizing that we need each other to continue to move forward and be who we were meant to be.
Because I love to see their faces. Everybody comes in like a balloon that needs air, and they go out with their heads up high and feeling good because they get an option is what it is.
You want to make sure people get what they need, and this is a great place for that.
When I was in need, they helped me out, so now that I am doing very well, it's my turn to help out.
We're just all volunteers. We just like what we do to help people out.
And I have people come crying, just tell me how much they appreciate it.
We could talk to them. We got to know all of these people that was coming in here and enjoy them, just like they enjoyed talking with us.
We can always use help. This is an extremely busy day. So we give back to the community because we have plenty.
And if you have plenty to give.
If you have plenty, then you have plenty to give.